On this episode of the Subtle Foodie Podcast, we have a New Year's Eve edition, and we will be talking to Mary Thorn from Thistle Draft Shop and future projects. So come and join us. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Great, Anthony. I'm looking forward to our guest today.
Yeah.
I'm excited about our new guest today, Anthony. Sponsored by Fajita Pete's over on Gosling here in the Woodlands and Euro World Motorsports on FM 2920.
So join us today for our discussion with Mary Thorn, and this is going to be a really good one. I really like Mary. This is our New Year's Eve episode, so happy end to 2021 and beginning to 2022.
Should we tell people to check out thistledraftshop.com because the food's so good?
Yeah, it'll be good. Come and join us. Hey everybody, welcome to a New Year's Eve edition of the Subtle Foodie Podcast. I am here with my good buddy Frank Lee, as always, and thankfully today on this New Year's Eve edition, we are joined by Mary Thorn from Thistle Draft Shop in Spring. Mary, welcome here. I'm so glad you could be here.
Good day, sir.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good. Any big plans for New Year's Eve?
Oh, yeah, we're going to have a party, of course.
That's right. You guys are going to have a party.
Yeah, we have a little gathering tonight at our new spot, and then we got a second party to go to as well, and hopefully I'm in by 10, right?
Oh, that's, yeah. Well, I'm usually in bed by 9.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you there. But you said new spot. I was not aware of I was only aware of the one.
Yeah, that came a little quick, didn't it?
That came a little quick.
It came a little quick,
Let's save the new spot. Frank, how are you today?
Do we need to redo this? Did I do something bad?
No.
I apologize.
No, you did not.
No. We should have put spoiler alert at the front, but we're not going to do that. How are you, Frank?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for having me today. As always, I enjoy my time here.
Does Euro World Motorsports have any New Year's Eve plans? You're going to be racing around the neighborhood?
Oh, goodness. I'll be celebrating with my wife in our PJs probably, and I think a neighbor is coming over or two. That's about it.
That's all.
In their PJs?
I hope so. That's part of the fun of New Year's.
That is part of the fun of New Year's.
The term is casual, and we mean it.
I set all of my clocks in my house 4 hours forward, so my kids think it's midnight. You know, that way you can do
the celebration.
You can show the Australia New Year, and that way you've got it all done. Everybody can go to bed at a reasonable time.
That's brilliant. I like that.
Yeah. So,
at what age do they wise up?
They haven't yet, and one of them's 9. So
You got time.
I think we got a little time. Yeah. She's very smart, but, not as focused on time as some of us are. So, that'll help for a few years, I hope. Mm-hmm. So, well, thanks for being with us, Mary.
Absolutely.
So Mary owns Thistle Draft Shop it's on 2920.
2920.
Mm-hmm. I always get 2920 and Spring Stubner confused as I'm driving down there. But this is a great little spot, particularly if you are a craft beer person. But I frankly don't go there for the beer. I go there for the food. My wife as well. Mary is one of my wife's favorite places. So give us a little rundown, because it's a unique spot.
Very unique.
I think in spring it fills a void that there's not a lot of. So give us a rundown on Thistle first.
Yeah, I think so. I think it fills that void that's very unique, very different than anybody else. The main focus is craft beer. That's the business model. But you're right, the food just kind of comes ahead of that a lot of the times. Fortunate enough to have Ernest Villarreal to be our chef to begin with. Create a beautiful menu of all those nice items. That is really a great big draw. And then the second draw, which is supposed to be the first draw, which could be the first draw, but sometimes it's the second draw, is the beer. We have a large selection of just beers.
But you say large selection.
Yes.
And that's a little bit of a misnomer, and we may have to get you on some fraud or something like that, because it is not a large selection. It is a extremely large selection.
It's a very fun selection.
And it's not only tap. How many taps are there?
60 taps.
60 taps. So 60 taps of craft beer that rotate, right?
Yeah.
And then, but you also do retail craft beer sales by the can.
Correct. Can, bottles, single package, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite things is, which I did the other day, was come in and just go through the coolers and just literally just pick out. I don't know. I've never had this one. Let me try this one and put them in a little cardboard six pack thing and walk out. We had a a really good oatmeal stout the other night.
Yes.
That was very good. But that's so it's 60 taps, craft beer, retail sales of craft beer,
Correct.
and then amazing food
And wine
and
and seltzers and meads and ciders and sodas.
a little bit.
So
of
yes. So the food and the beer being the highlight.
everything.
But that's not all.
Yeah. And so, are you a beer person or a wine person?
My problem is I'm not really a drinker per se. I'm more of an eater.
Well,
Perfect.
you could go for the
Perfect.
food.
Yeah.
I would absolutely go for the food. I mean, I was reviewing the website before you got here, and that promo video on the first page is, whoever did that is very good at what they do.
It tells the whole story. It tells it exactly what we're all about.
ThistleDraftShop.com.
Yeah,
Look at that promo video. It's amazing.
it is. It's really cool. And
I got hungry.
one of the best parts is if it's a nice day, you guys have got these huge like garage doors on the front and the back. So they open the garage doors. You got tables inside, tables outside, games, trivia nights,
trivia
taco nights,
State night.
yoga night.
Yoga Sundays,
I saw a
yeah.
yoga thing.
Yoga and beer.
Yoga and beer. I would
yes.
do. How can you balance? They have a really good burger,
Ooh.
and it's like, how can you balance the burger while you do the yoga, while answering trivia?
Ah,
All in the lotus position.
new event for
You might
2022.
not be able to get me up from that. So you guys, when did you guys open?
4 years ago, actually, December 2017.
It's been a hell of a ride.
It's
huh?
been a weird ride.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I think we've been very fortunate to have as good a start as we had. Then we had the nice big challenge in 2020 with COVID. We survived that. Now 2021, we're about to close it. At least we're sustaining.
Sustaining.
Sustaining
yeah,
is
there you go.
good, and we're looking forward to 2022.
Somebody told me the other day that the year coming up is 2022, like 2020 also.
Also, oh
Hopefully it's not.
no,
Hopefully it's not.
no, we're not going to.
It's been a bit of a challenge. So tell me about, I mean, a lot of restaurants opened during COVID. I mean, I opened one during COVID. Luckily we had a concept that worked, but tell me about, I remember talking to you early on and about what you had to do to kind of both pivot and maintain what was going on back then. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, it's an emotional roller coaster ride for sure. First off, nobody not really even knowing that was. If you can edit, that'd be really great. Nobody really understanding what was going on in the business world and how to come out of it and how to survive and how to keep the business going. That was a huge, huge pitfall in trying to run a business. So once we could navigate our way through the year and take advantage of what the government's assistance we're able to get back up on our feet, keep our people employed. It was both a curse and a blessing because I feel like if those events hadn't happened when they happened, our business would look very different, I think, today than it would have 2020. We are in the upswing, but, it kind of helped us correct some issues that we were having. And then we come upon some other issues like employment. So
that's such a huge issue.
It's a
I mean,
huge-
even today. I mean, we're at the end of 2021. We've been in this thing for almost 3 years.
yeah.
It's the employment. Everybody thought, okay, well, you can't work from home. You got a corporate job. You have to be in an office. You have to be there. Well, we can all now do our jobs from home if you've got not restaurants, but corporate
Thistle
jobs.
Draft Shop, yeah, you could come to there and do
You
your
can actually go. I used to do that a lot. And
Yeah.
sit there and work. Yeah, I didn't drink while I worked. I ate while I worked, but I didn't drink while
We
I
have
worked.
coffee.
Yeah, you do have. But the unemployment issue is such a challenge. So is the
big.
employment thing still going on for you?
It is. I think that's my biggest challenge at this moment. We have employees that we have people that send their resumes in. We set up interviews, and then they don't show. And then they come in, we hire them, and then they work for a couple days, and then they no show again. And then they work for a couple weeks, and then they no show again.
Yeah.
And it's not they're not repeating no shows. These are new employees that this is this weird habit
Yeah.
that people now have to
I mean,
lack
what
the responsibility.
What do you think? I mean, we've got a lot of different opinions on what's causing that. But what is your opinion?
That could be a long segment if I go into it.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I
In
think
depth, we're here to do it. Go for it.
I think money is the wages have gone up, so people are chasing the money. That's one of the first things I see. Trying to find the right spots and trying to make sure that it fits. Some people have gotten out of the industry.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, those are two big ones. And then, where are the good people? Where did they go? The people in, I think the industry, the restaurant industry or the service industry, I think they're probably the weakest on employees at this moment because so many people have jumped ship and they've gone to other segments of work and, doing other things. So we have to wait for that next round of people coming in for the service industries.
Yeah. I mean, service industry in general is just generally tough. To maintain good quality staff. You take the time to train, to pay to train, and then, like you said, they're there for a couple weeks and no show or just leave.
Done.
Just done. Yeah.
And hospitality has never been an easy employment opportunity. I mean, it's never been an easy employment thing from the employer's perspective. It's always been the industry traditionally has a very high turnover anyway.
Right.
What are some lessons that you have learned through this process?
I think we're still learning them. People want money. Money is the thing that they're chasing after, and to raise their income and our revenue is still the same is really a hard business tool. Yeah. So that's our biggest challenge is how do we get retain great quality employees when our revenue is still holding tight.
Yeah.
So that's our challenge for 2022 is, figure out how to grow the business and get great quality people.
See, for me, I always in my experience, and I very much consider myself an industry outsider, although I've bartended, waited, bounced, all through, college and whatnot, like everybody else. And as I mentioned before in previous podcasts, I've always turned down the opportunity to become a manager trainee because I saw how hard they worked. Like, I don't want to work that hard. You guys work. I can't imagine working that hard, no. But neither here nor there. As a waiter, I always found that my income as a waiter was related 100% on my tips. And my tips reflected my attitude in working with the customers. And I always liked that about it because even if I was having a bad day, if I could just put on a good face and do my job, I'm going to come home with some money that pays way better than any other minimum wage type job that was available to me as a college student. And you see that in the acting. They all want to waiters because that pays bills. And it's a wonderful practice for your craft if you're an actor.
Or a podcaster.
Right.
Or genuinely like people.
Yeah. That's a hard one to come by.
That
though.
it is.
But the whole point of saying that is you shouldn't have to raise your wages for your waiters to make more money. They should have to come in with a better attitude because the food is getting more expensive every day. And all we hear from producers is that their cost has gone up.
Yeah.
I was raised in a rural community that I'm still in touch with, and they're talking about the dramatic increases in fertilizer, in nutrients. Standard things that are just part of the production have tripled and quadrupled in price.
Fuel.
In the last 6 months. Plus, by the time you add fuel into it, they're bringing vegetables to market that are 4 times more expensive. That has nothing to do with them being greedy.
Yep.
It's just enough for them to stay in business.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you turn around, the restaurants are having to pay that price. And now you've got employees saying, you need to be paying me more. And you're like, well, why don't you get better tips?
Well, and it's tough to pass along those costs to the
consumer.
To the consumer, but eventually you have to. I mean, that's why we're in, I think kind of an inflationary period as we are. And I'm no economist. Is that the right word? But you see restaurants raising prices all the time.
Yeah.
You see little notes on doors when you go into small businesses and say, "Hey, we've had to,
Close
as
today.
of January 1st, we've had to raise prices." Or worse yet, we've had to, "Hey, we're closed today because we're short-staffed.
we can't get
Can't
anybody
get, can't
in.
get
product.
food, can't get product, can't get food, produce, anything like that.
Mary,
Yeah,
did you get pinched with that kind of thing during
Oh,
the
yeah.
process? You got
Oh, yeah.
or you had to shut down because you couldn't get product or people to show?
Not yet. Not yet. We've been really tight. I'm fortunate enough to have a management team that steps in when we need them. So that's another key part of running business is making sure you have the right people in the right places. But yeah, it's been tough. We're running on a skeleton crew in back of house right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
That's very hard. Front of house is, pretty stable,
Yeah.
great personalities. They get it. And our front of house does get it that, the consumer is their paycheck.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
it's not me.
right.
You guys need to do a really great job.
Yeah,
And they do.
yeah. Well, hopefully this next year, starting tomorrow, will be all the much better.
2022.
2022,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
I saw a funny meme yesterday that said, I'm staying up to watch. I'm staying up till midnight tonight, not to ring in the new year, but to make sure the old one leaves.
Right.
Well, it's going to be tough. It'll be. I think it'll be another challenging year, but hopefully everything is on the upswing. But it sounds like you guys are too. So I will allude to what Frank spoiled earlier in the podcast. So what's the future?
The future
Thistle?
looks like. So at Thistle Draft Shop, we hit upon some of the products we sell. So we have craft beer, wine, ciders, meats, and so on, but we don't have distilled spirits. And that's for a reason. I think that, the dynamics of the customers that come in right now, that's what they enjoy. And we're going to keep that model. So in lieu of introducing spirits into Thistle, we're going to introduce it to a spot directly next door.
Oh.
So way more to come.
Way more to come. I
more to come.
got a chance to look at it the other day. I'm not going to say anything, but it is super cool. I'm super excited. It is going to be something way different than anything. I don't know anything in Northwest Houston. I don't know anything in North Houston, West, East Side that looks like this, that has this concept. So
Yeah.
Will
I'm
they
super
retain
excited.
the food concept, just more of it?
Food is a little different over there. We never intended on having food, just, kind of feeding from the Thistle side. But TABC says we have to have food. So,
Even though
pardon
you
me.
own the place right next door that makes food.
Correct. Well, they're two separate licenses.
licenses.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we did have to put in a kitchen over there, but that's going to look like it's more like small bites, as opposed to big meals.
Bring the wings over.
Yeah. Well, you can order for the wings. Yeah. So they can come.
So for Thistle, you only have to have a beer and wine license, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely. I mean, that's what we have, and that's definitely much less hassle than having a full liquor license.
Yeah. Well, and then the other reason for not having the full liquor license on the Thistle side is that extra tax burden.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you can keep them separate. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard all my life how lucrative the liquor business is, and I've witnessed it. But whenever I talk to someone involved in the liquor business, all they talk about is the regulation and the paperwork and the headache that goes with it.
I'm getting ready to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's there, but I know several restaurants in the Woodlands that would frankly be out of business if it wasn't for their bar program.
Oh, I'm
You know,
well
and it
aware of
is
that, yes.
particularly in the area, that is what people want.
Mm-hmm.
They want someplace where they can go. It's a neighborhood place, whatever, where they can go and hang out. And whether it's craft beer or whether it's liquor, some of these bar programs, and there's a few in the Woodlands that are really good.
Yeah.
But frankly, they don't have the food to go along with it, right? So their bar program is really what's keeping them in business. And just really getting bodies through the door who are also buying food as well. But it's
because the margins
well
in liquor are
worth
so
it.
much higher.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just a product that people want,
Yeah.
just like you said.
And it's that kind of thing is, there's increased burden and regulation, right? But it's also that I don't want to, the concept, I don't want to raise because I have to pay more taxes, but it's really, you're getting so much more revenue, so you're willing to deal with the burden of the paperwork.
That's
Wow.
a great way to
Yeah.
put that. Yeah.
It's that big.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I would love to start selling liquor in my place, but I can't.
That's because people have to drive.
That's because people have to drive. Well, our margaritas are like 10.5% for frozen margaritas, and that's a lot.
That is a lot.
For frozen margaritas.
I had no idea it was that high. Wow.
To go.
To go. We do have to. So you talk about rules and regulations, right? Like we do have to put. I don't know if you guys have to do this or not. Because can you guys do? I know you do to go, beer and stuff, but you can't do anything else, right?
We can actually.
Okay. Do you have to put seals on them?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
of course.
we have these like seals because we have
Yeah.
half-gallon and gallon bags, and we even have cups. But you have to put this like TABC seal thing over it to basically ensure that when it walked out the door, it wasn't open. So if you open it in your car, it's not our problem.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well, it's not such a bad idea.
No, it's a fantastic idea. But it's just one of those kind of weird things that they've made it easy, whether it's TABC or whoever, has made it easy for us to be able to sell to go items like that. But again, it's hey, you have to follow these regulations. Okay, well, we're willing to do that because of the extra dollars, that's potentially going to bring in.
Yeah.
And as a customer, I'll admit, I'd much rather just buy a gallon of frozen margarita than have to do that operation at home.
Yeah, right.
Hey, here's our fajitas, guys. Oh, let's get the blender going with the ice and
Yeah.
the mixture. Like, no. Fajitas now, margarita now.
Yeah.
Done.
Now, this is how we do this, So that's wonderful. But it made me laugh because I lived 2 years in New Orleans. And one of the places I've worked was New Orleans Original Daiquiris. And after the Mardi Gras, they kept me on, and I worked at the drive-through.
Drive-through daiquiris.
Drive-through
I love it.
daiquiris.
I just love the spirit of it.
And it was exactly like you said. I mean, I would open the bottle of beer that I sold to the drive-through, but then I'd take that little paper cup that you sample with, put it over and hand it to them because now it's a closed container.
Not secure, but closed.
And when they want their daiquiris, could you put the straw in it, please?
No.
So I would, but tear it, put it in, the paper's still over it, closed container.
See, I don't think we can put a straw in ours. I don't think we can, because we can do cups, but I think like we're not supposed to, do that. But nobody wants you to touch a straw anyway.
This
Right.
was back in
These days.
'96, so this was a long time ago.
That was
we were doing this.
the Wild West back then.
And let me tell you, what I laughed about was I was a member at the Gold's Gym across the street, and the aerobics classes were at 5 and 6, and I would go work out, then I'd go to work.
You'd go through the aerobics class?
I'd have to get done before then, but I'd be in the drive-through, and when that aerobics class got out, those girls would be in the drive-through lined up, and they wouldn't get a small daiquiri. They would get the big 32 ounce.
The yard.
And I'm like, you just came out of aerobics class and you're going to drink?
Well, that's why you go to aerobics, right? You work off all the calories so that that's what I mean.
Reward.
For the longest time, that's what I was doing. I was going to work out so that I could go eat. That's my thing. So Mary, are you I know you are, but I'm asking a question. Are you kind of a foodie?
I am. I love flavors. Love flavors.
What kind of flavor? What's your if you're sitting at home and you're craving something, what do you got? What do you want to fill that craving?
That's a good question. I think easily I'll head towards a pasta, probably a red sauce and a pasta, or an egg and potatoes and poblanos. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
that.
Onions.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like the kind of the migas kind of breakfast, huevos rancheros kind of breakfast. It's got those eggs and all those kind of spicy flavors. But
Savory.
but you said pasta. So assuming you're not making it at home, where do you go for pasta?
Oh, I do make it at home, so I don't go to pasta. I don't have pasta very often.
You make your pasta at home, your own pasta?
Well, I don't make my pasta at home. I make my sauce at home. But there's a little cafe on Kirkendall called Italian Cafe.
Oh yeah.
They make some really good Italian food.
I've never been there, and here's why. I only discovered it during COVID, but they're only open for dinner.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm never out during dinner. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed because I go downtown for different things, but I'm never there during dinner, and I'm so disappointed that I haven't been able to be to a lot of places at night when they're open, and that Italian Cafe happens to be one of them. Yeah.
Delicious food.
Really?
Yep. It's the mark.
Oh.
I'm a little picky about pasta. 'Cause you said, do you make your pasta at home? And there's a fine line between people. There are people who go out to Italian food. Whatever. Carrabba, call it whatever you want. Carrabba's, Olive Garden, Santi, whatever.
Not
There
real
are
Italian.
those weren't all real Italian, by the way. Those three things. There are people who make pasta at home, but they make their sauce and stuff. But they use box pasta just like everybody else. And then there are people who make their pasta at home.
That's what I mean. I've heard of that, but I've never seen it.
Yeah. So I do it occasionally.
And I've seen your postings
Yeah.
about that.
But I will tell you, all the people the time I've spent in Italy, all the Italian people I know, they're not all making pasta either. They're using pasta out of good quality pasta out of a box because that's,
Well, because pasta is pasta. It's all about how you prepare it. And you can take good pasta and ruin it.
yes,
And
I've
you
had
can
plenty of those.
And you can take cheap pasta and make it amazing.
Yeah.
But it's all in how you prep it.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it.
Or you can take the margarita approach, and it's
I mean, there are so many places we'll get stuck on Italian food, but there are so many good Italian places in the Woodlands now, and frankly, they're supplanting the Italian places that were here before.
Ooh.
That really, I don't want to say like let it slip or whatever, but just kind of, I think after a while you get complacent and
Sure.
whatever. But there are so many good Italian places.
Did you ever see
here
the
now.
movie My Blue Heaven with Steve?
I
Martin?
did. I love that.
One of my favorite lines from the movie is, they're all down there in Florida. And he says, I can't eat any good food here. And the guy says, I once drove a half hour for a place that I heard had good marinara. And they all said, yeah? How was it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's and unfortunately that's what it is. But I will. My big issue with pasta is that it's cooked properly.
yes.
It's everything.
But the cooked properly in my head is way different than the cooked properly I think in frankly most Americans' head, because I'm thinking al dente, right, which is literally means to the tooth, right? So it's got a little bite to it, but most people think that's underdone
Ah, right.
for pasta. And depending on what kind of pasta, and if it's fresh made pasta, it's really hard to do that. And so if you can find a place that one makes fresh pasta, Zanti and Papa Amadeus, I'm looking at you,
It was pretty
and
good.
two can cook that fresh pasta properly, that's where I'll be all the time.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say the two that I know of in the Woodlands that are doing that, it's Stefano at Zanti, and it's Arturo at Papa Amadeus. I mean, those two guys, they both make fresh pasta, all sorts of different kinds of fresh pasta, and have it cooked properly, consistently.
So
and that's
just
a huge deal.
a little hint of a little like a almost a snippet or a crunch. at
Yeah,
the
I mean,
very
if you
center.
think of a piece of spaghetti, a cross section of a piece of
Yeah.
spaghetti, the very center of it is almost like it's not done.
Almost.
Almost.
Is that where the sticks on the wall kind of thing?
No, please, Frank, don't throw your spaghetti on the wall.
You don't? I was always told as soon as it stops staying on the wall, that's when it's ready. No?
Did you have a lot of pasta on your floor? From that?
Yes. As a child, I remember once we were having spaghetti. And as a child, I loved spaghetti. So whenever Mom made it, it was awesome. And for whatever reason, we were having it 2 nights in a row. And I was kind of excited. And I remember my dad saying, spaghetti again? And as he was saying it, I looked up, and the pot of sauce was already in the air, flying at him. Okay, so we won't talk about how good the food is in our house.
Yeah.
So the notion of a food critic was very frightening to me.
Yeah. Yes.
Because my mother will kill me with a pan. So yeah, that's why.
You can't argue with spaghetti.
No.
Mary, what's your favorite restaurant in town right now?
Oh.
You got to answer. You got to answer. I know
I
you're
gotta
gonna
answer.
hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
Can you do it by region?
No.
No. Wow.
Well,
Can I name couples? A couple of them.
Sure.
Okay, we'll do
Or
that.
can it be
give me
for,
your top 3.
What about for types of dish, like a
No,
seafood
no,
restaurant?
No, we're talking. No,
Steakhouse?
we're favorite top 3 restaurants right
Oh,
now.
that's tough.
Well, let me just
Gotta
say
put her on the
this.
spot,
You did put me on the spot.
and it can't be your own. Austin kept
Well-
saying all of it was his own food.
Yeah, there
it can't be your own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. And I'm not wrong either. We have some really delicious stuff, and I eat there often. And the reason I eat there often is because, well, I don't go out too much
Yeah,
anymore
right,
because
of
there's
course.
so
You're
much
in the industry.
so much to do. Yeah. So for quick, let's go out and get something to eat. We'll go to either Chila's or Fu Manchung. Chila's is a little
Yeah,
Mexican
that's
restaurant.
right. It's right down. It's
20.
right down the strip center there.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah. I've
From Fu Manchung or from you?
like in between us.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
halfway in between.
Okay.
Yeah. I really love what they got going on there. You know, there's a lot of Mexican food
What,
around.
I was going to say, what I've never been, but I've passed by it a lot, and now I want to go because you mentioned it. So,
Yeah.
what is it? Is it Mexican, Tex-Mex? Combination?
Probably, you know, how do you get out of Tex-Mex here? It's probably closer to, it's probably right in between.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really done nicely. And I
Nice.
found myself just attached to that chili relleno.
Oh, I love a good chili relleno.
Yes,
Love it.
yes,
Love it. It's like one of my favorite things.
yes.
That next to chili and nogada, right, which is essentially a chili relleno but with walnut sauce on it,
Ooh.
is one of my favorites. Yeah,
Ooh.
and you don't find it done well many places. But you mentioned Fu Manchung.
I did, yeah.
So Fu Manchung is
We're
really
both
interesting. It's like an interesting concept. Like they did a really unique switch
Yes, we did.
for COVID with having dine in. Now you kind of walk in. They've got everything laid out, which I think is really nice
Yeah.
because
Quick.
some of those dishes you can't necessarily visualize like in your head what exactly it is.
Most Americans can't.
Yeah, yeah. And so they got everything laid out with pictures. You order right there, but then you go sit down, and then they bring you whatever. Excuse me. It's really good.
It is good.
I mean, to me, I love Fu Manchung, and I've spent a small fortune in lunches there, taking both my team and myself. And the owner being the nicest guy in the world,
Yeah.
the first one to come to
Service
the
is
table.
really good,
Awesome, yeah.
And Stephanie,
Personable.
she's on top of it there. She's been there for the longest. But I think what he does is both amazing and difficult, is that, as I put it, he does a cross-section of Asian food.
Mm-hmm.
But everything he does is the best version of I've ever had.
Yeah.
So like the Vietnamese vermicelli bowl, best bowl I ever had.
Yeah.
The pad thai, just one of the best ties
Mm-hmm.
I'd put up with any Thai restaurant in town, as well as the Chinese dishes and even their sushi and Japanese fried dishes. So what he's pulled off there is, I think, it's just, I don't know, a miracle of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't know, and of
Agreed.
course it's reasonably priced. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
But even when you talk to him, he like every other restaurant owner goes, "We're barely making it, and I'm always
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be open tomorrow." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And you're like, and I'm saying, please don't quit.
Yeah.
I'll come work if you have to. Just
Yeah.
keep it open.
Yeah, the reality of restaurant business
Yeah,
is right
that's
now.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, you don't get. I don't think you get rich owning restaurants.
But
One restaurant.
But how
I
do
think you have to own a bunch of them.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, on the one end, you have these people who kill themselves to produce amazing food and try and put their name behind something good that does well. But then, you always hear about how hard they work and how broke they are.
Mm-hmm.
But then here's Chef Austin telling us, well, it's the biggest company in the world and a lot of extremely wealthy people as a result of the restaurant industry. So my big question is, teach me.
Sure. Yeah.
How? It seems so hard.
I think restaurants are scale.
Yes.
I think that's why I said you can't just have one.
Yeah.
I think if you want to be that guy, I mean, look at like Carrabba's is a great example. Started in Houston, one place down on Kirby, but
Really?
then grew into a number of locations, then sold to a larger company and is now freaking
Boom.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's the same company that owns Outback.
It is.
There is only one that's still owned by the family, right? Is the original one.
Aren't they owned by Darden?
That's Olive Garden.
Olive Garden.
Olive Garden's owned by Darden. But the original Carrabba's is still owned by the family.
Wow.
And it's funny if you talk to people. I like Carrabba's personally.
Oh, my wife.
They have a dish
wife
called
loves
chicken brine that I love.
Yes.
I was eating it forever. I really like it. But if you go to, like, for example, the Carrabba's in the Woodlands versus the Carrabba's on Kirby, they're completely different experiences. Same dishes, but somehow different,
Yeah.
But that's the problem for me. It's like you take a restaurant, because I still haven't been to Thistle Drive Shop, but I'm very excited to.
We're going to send him there today.
Yes, I'm on a mission now.
Nice.
But you take even yours, for example. I'm because it's a one-off place and you've hired a proper chef. I know that steamed mussels dish is going to be amazing. I know those Brussels sprouts are going to be amazing. I know, just from a business perspective and a logistical perspective, you can't scale that on the level of a TGI Fridays and maintain that quality.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
logistically
at
possible.
some point, you run the risk of losing quality. But beyond that, you can actually get really big and not have quality. So I just
well,
I
that's the
take
problem with getting big.
right, but I take the example of McDonald's.
Yeah.
I mean, people freaking crave, a Big Mac my biggest weakness is a freaking fillet of fish from McDonald's. I'll eat them all day long, but they're terrible. They're both terrible for you, and they're terrible as a food, and everything.
It's straight
Jack in the Box
poison.
tacos.
Oh, don't even get me started. I know so many foodies who like Jack in the Box tacos. It's unbelievable. It's they're so terrible.
They are, and they're only good at one particular time of the day
When you're drunk at 2 a.m.
or late night.
My wife, when she was in college, used to gauge how much things cost by how many Jack in the Box tacos it would take. So, that's $100. Well, that's 200 Jack in the Box tacos. Yeah, it's interesting, but you can scale, and once you get to a certain point, quality doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I mean, look at Denny's. Like one comedian said it best, nobody goes to Denny's. It's where you wind up.
Yeah.
Because it's open.
You end up at Denny's. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Although I love a moons over my hammy.
oh yeah, and hey, 2 a.m. those nachos.
I mean, that's a waffle. It's a Waffle House concept, right?
Yeah.
Is just.
But I'm grateful they serve a nachos dish at 2 a.m.
They serve nachos at Denny's.
Oh yeah, at 2 a.m. and it's a plate.
What kind of cheese is that? I wonder what kind of cheese that is. It's
It's
just
some-
yellow. It's not a
It's yellow
cheese.
cheese,
It's just
yeah.
Plastic
yellow.
cheese?
Just yellow. Yeah.
It's
That's
a
all it is.
cheese food product.
There you go. Plastic cheese.
The cheese flavored food product.
Cheese
Yeah,
food product.
But the mom and pops are the best experiences.
always.
Oh.
Because everything's hand done with quality ingredients.
Well,
and-
it's a different quality. It's a different mindset.
It's a different. It's a completely different mindset, and that's why with taste buds and all these other things, and my big thing is going to these mom and pops. I mean, that's how I found you guys, and there's so many out there that they have a focus on quality because it is their life. Whether it's Paul at Fu Manchung,
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Lynn's Table in Old Town Spring last week, and really good food. A burger that frankly surpassed a lot of other burgers I've had. Don't feel bad. That I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's because they put the quality. It was Heart Brand beef. It was a really good bun that they had made there. It was really good ingredients, and it was cooked properly. So they had taken the care to make that as good as it can be for their customers. And I think you're right. Mom and pops, will always be the way to go, but it's how do we keep those people in business,
Right.
and how do we get those people to grow to the point of where, if they want to grow and expand, great. If they want to keep what they have, great. I mean, I look at like Mel's Cafe. I mean, that place is. We used to go there with our daughter, who's now 9, and we'd take her there when she was like 2. The woman who waited on us was the same woman who waited on my wife when she was that age.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
but they're not growing.
They don't care to.
They're not opening multiple Mel's.
This is what they do.
That's it. They just do that, and they do it really well.
And they're a destination point.
It's a destination point.
That's true.
Yeah.
It is a destination point.
And you can get your name on the wall if you do
Yes.
that. Paul has that. Fu Manchung has that. If you do the pho
big-
challenge. Did you do it?
No way.
Oh.
There's a pho challenge?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Paul, I'm looking at you, buddy.
It's like a huge bowl, and you gotta like eat the whole thing.
Yeah, wow.
Paul, I thought we were friends. You didn't even tell me about this.
You gotta do it. That's what you guys should have. You guys should have a challenge.
A challenge. Yeah. We've had wing challenges.
Oh, nice.
We could do that.
Really
right?
spicy?
Yeah. Oh, we could do that. We could do that.
You're
Oh.
The wings are awesome.
the buffalo
Wings are
wings. What do you call them?
Biggie.
The biggie, yeah. Those are the best version of buffalo wings I've had in a long time. I don't know what you guys do with them or what the sauce is or whatever, but my mouth is watering.
Game
Nice.
on.
But-
Yes, right?
But it's a really, really good version of what I think of like an Anchor Bar buffalo wing, right?
Yeah.
The original buffalo wing. I kind of think of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, like
super
you
good.
just said, it's the best version you've ever had. And this guy
I've had a
knows
lot
good
of
food.
wings.
That's why we're friends.
yeah.
My challenge is keeping up. I mean, his postings. I mean, my wife looked at me and goes, does he ever go home, or does he just go from restaurant to restaurant to post?
My wife would say the same thing to me. She's like, you just go from meal to meal.
Yeah.
I can't believe how thin you are given that diet.
Well, not thin, need to work out. Claire, if you're watching this, I swear to God, I'll be back. Claire O'Neill is the kind of the GM manager of Spenga in the Woodlands, which is over by Triss. Unfortunately, it's like right next door to Triss, but it's like spinning. It's a really cool workout. I don't know why we're talking about workouts, but it's this really cool workout. It's spinning, high intensity interval training, and yoga all in 1 hour. It's 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, and you just run through the whole thing. And Claire is this kind of shorter Scottish woman, and she's like, we call her Killer Claire because she like runs us through this spinning, which is the bikes.
Yeah.
And then the high intensity interval training. And then you think, oh, yoga, it's supposed to be so relaxing. It's no, you kill yourself when you're done.
And she's probably looking at this right now saying, and bring that co-host with you.
Yeah, yeah. And she's looking at me saying, you haven't been here for 3 months. Why have you not been here for 3 months? Yeah, so I got to go back.
Her wrath awaits.
Mary, what is we talked about pasta, but what's your favorite dish right now? And where are you getting it?
Wow, favorite dish, and where am I getting it? Gosh, life is busy right now. I'm gonna go back to Chila's. That I haven't had enough of that chili relleno right now, and it just really, yeah.
I think I'm going to have to start the new year with one of those.
What I do is I have it grilled as opposed to having it battered and fried. I like the battered and fried, but I like the grilled better.
Oh, interesting.
Awesome. I'm craving it all the time now. Wow. Must be missing something.
Must be.
Yeah.
It's the veggies.
Yeah.
The veggies. The poblano.
You got the protein, you got the veggies, you got that red sauce.
And they stuff it with chicken?
Just about anything you want. I get it with the picadillo, so the
nice.
beef and the potatoes.
Yeah. Picadillo beef is so good, and you don't find it very many places.
No,
done well. That's a Mexican thing.
It is
versus a Tex-Mex thing. So you were talking about the difference between Tex-Mex and Mexican. Mm-hmm. If you go to there's 2 places in the Woodlands: Cafe de Fiori, over on Woodlands Parkway, and Uli's Mexican Kitchen. Those 2 places are Mexican.
Okay.
And you can get like a chili rellenos and stuff like that, but it's Mexican versus Tex-Mex, which is Tex-Mex is, the fajitas, the tacos, the enchiladas, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of geared towards the Arizona, New Mexico, Texas kind of space, I guess. But really good Mexican, picadillo is hard to
If
find.
I were to put Chila's in a category, I'd lean them towards the Mexican side than the Tex-Mex.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going to check it out now. I love Mexican food.
Yeah, I've given them so much love lately.
Yeah. Check out Uli. So if you like mole, they've got like 3 different kinds of mole, 3 or 4 different kinds of mole, which is really, really good. Yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
2020 is, I'm going to go back to 2020.
Yeah.
What 2020 did was it really highlighted the small businesses.
Yeah.
Really, really elevated who are people out there want to support the small businesses. Yeah. That came out of 2020. Huge, big deal.
Well, the small businesses were so discriminated against by the government. Mm-hmm. They told all the small businesses to shut down, but Walmart could stay open. Yeah. Shut down the small businesses, but Costco can stay open.
Yeah.
Hold on, that's not right.
Liquor stores could stay open.
How about you now? But the gyms had to close.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think there's been an increased focus on those, small business because all of those people are the people in our communities.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're the people. They're our neighbors. They're who we talk to, go out with, go to church with, go do whatever. And you want to support you don't want to see your neighbor have to close his business.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. Quick question. Now it's funny. So when Anthony first told me, Mary from Thistle Draft Shop, I thought to myself, I have no clue what that is. Looked at your website, saw the location and the logo, and I thought, oh my God, I've driven by that place 100 times. Mm-hmm. And ultimately didn't know what it was. And I wrote it off in my head because the quality of the building, the logo, to me it looked like it was part of a large corporate chain because it had that corporate grade finish to everything that it looked like on the outside. And I wrote it off. I would have never guessed it was a mom and pop shop because everything is so professionally done.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Did you know that building or that space used to be an automotive shop?
No, I
Oh, that
had no
explains the
clue.
garage
That's-
doors.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
That's
captured.
cool. There you go. Even more of a reason for you to go.
Right. Yeah. It sits in an old automotive shop, and I took advantage of that building by
Awesome.
Yeah, but I
It's-
saw
it's
the
a fun
logo,
business.
and it was so well done. I didn't even read it. I was like, "Oh, that's some corporate thing."
Yeah.
Now you know.
And now I know,
Now
and
you
I'm, and
know.
I'm embarrassed at my own prejudice.
We're embarrassed for you. As well.
And now I can't wait to go even more. It's so exciting to meet you. And
Well, he's
going
going to go there, and I'm going to go to Chili's.
Yeah.
There you go.
And get that.
Well, that I think that's a tough business thing to begin with.
Yeah.
And we're talking about big box chains versus
Yeah.
mom and pop. People go to big box chains or go to chains because they're familiar.
Yes.
You don't have to take that
Yes.
monetary risk.
And to their credit, even though you don't get the quality of a high-end mom and pop shop, restaurant, you go there because you know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
So you're willing to bet on the consistency
That's correct.
over taking a chance on quality.
Absolutely.
Olive Garden's not good, but you know
what you're
that the
gonna
soup,
get.
salad, and breadsticks are always going to be exactly the same.
Yep.
Yeah. I've never had a Big Mac that was below par at the Big
Well,
Mac scale.
Par, yeah, I was going to say par for a Big Mac.
For a
Now,
Big Mac.
that being said, I will slam the hell out of a Big Mac any day because
you're in
it's
the
so
mood.
familiar and it's what. In fact, I'd say I grew up with it, but I didn't. I actually grew up with Carl's Jr. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
I grew up in California, and my very first experience with a fast food burger was not McDonald's; it was Carl's Jr.
And McDonald's
and-
came from California of all places.
Uh-huh,
That's what's funny
yeah.
about it. That
But in the neighborhood, I remember in the neighborhood where my aunt lived, who I spent a lot of time with, there was a Carl's Jr. there. But it wasn't like it is today. Carl's Jr. has flipped the script on a lot of the chains and stuff going kind of healthy and stuff, and they just went no, we're going to go the other way, and they make like these just giant
Monsters.
fast food burgers. But back then, it was very similar to McDonald's. And this was in the late 70s, early 80s. It was very similar to McDonald's with that same kind of burger. But it's just so familiar and it's so comforting. A Big Mac is comforting.
now Carl's Jr. didn't it somehow come out of the original Hardee's?
Yeah,
hamburger
it's the
chain?
same company.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I
just
recognized the
different
little star
locations.
logo, and I thought,
Yeah.
I remember those back in the
I
day.
can't remember if Carl's Jr. bought Hardee's or the other way around.
Right.
But yeah, they were. I don't know if they were always the same. I'm sure somebody out there knows that. Yeah.
And I feel guilty because we're talking about everything but Thistle Draft Shop, and I have questions about Thistle Draft
What do
Shop.
you have questions? What do you have questions about?
Well, let's go back to the corporate logo that you have there. That
Sure.
that looks like someone who
beautiful,
knows what
isn't
they're
it?
doing. Well, it looks
Yeah.
like someone knew what they were doing, designed it.
Yes.
Like for example, when I designed my logo, the name I started with the name I could find on the internet for cheap, EuroWorldMotorsports.com for $19. But then it became, how do I turn that into something
A brand.
right?
Yeah.
But something concise and legible.
Easy.
Yeah, and it went from being something really too small to read from a foot away. I needed something you could recognize easily from 10, 20, 50 feet away on a shirt. And because I wound up taking a very quick study in logo design and what are you trying to achieve with it. So Thistle Draft Shop, it's a busier design, but it fits concisely within a space. And I can see the word draft, even if I couldn't
Right.
read the thistle while I was driving by 100 feet away. But it was so precisely done. I'm thinking, okay, that's some kind of
Yeah.
chain of something I didn't even know was a restaurant at first. But in that, what role did you play in coming up with that?
Good question. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. 2008, 2009, I started working for St. Arnold, and I was controller there. And what I got to do, and what was really very enticing to me, is wanting to know all about the business side of St. Arnold. So I made it my job to, and my role was controller, finance, accounting. I made it my
Oh.
job to really pay attention to what was going on as far as all the different vendors and pieces that go into a business. Well, one of their marketing team was Primer Gray. So when I made my decision to do this business, the very first company I hired was Primer Gray. And the reason I did that is because I knew I could come up with 1,000 names for this business, but I would always doubt it if I chose it myself.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I hired them to come up with the best logo, the best branding for this company.
Oh.
So
See, that's thought.
Yeah, no, that's coming at it the right way. A clear, strategic, structured thinking of approach. So you come from a finance and accounting background.
I do.
And you were doing that for St. Arnold's Beer.
I was.
Well, so how did you even, let's go back to the beginning. What was your original interest in working in the hospitality industry?
Oh, well, good question. I think I developed that thirst at St. Arnold's while I was there. So
you get that thirst?
I picked up on that.
Good. I like to explain these things.
I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, finished my education late at 40. And then, once I began being a part of the accounting community in different areas, it was HP, and then it was an oil and gas company. And then, fortunately, I got on with St. Arnold's. And the reason I got on with St. Arnold's, or even applied, I have to say, is because it was an interest of my husband's. He was home brewing.
But
nice.
you came up, your industry and your entire industry background has been accounting and finance.
Yes.
You went with different industries, but your skill is accounting and finance.
Correct.
And now you're an owner.
Yeah.
So talk about that transition.
It's awesome. Again, I have to give my employment with St. Arnold that credit because I was so interested in what was going on there, from the production, from the purchasing, the consumer side, all of that.
The world outside your spreadsheet.
The world outside my spreadsheet, exactly. And I think it came very natural. And so when I did have to make that decision to do something different, I jumped into this head first.
That's nice.
Right off the diving board. Boom, done.
So thank you, St. Arnold's,
Right,
for bringing Mary full circle to where she is now.
Oh my gosh, it was a great experience.
Yeah.
A huge growing experience.
I like St. Arnold's. It's a cool place. We do a lot of barbecue festival things there. And the old brew house is just so cool.
Right.
It's just so neat to be in there. It's funny, we've been doing those festival things so long there that every time I walk in there, it's like comforting. Like I've never actually been to the new part.
Oh, you have not?
Like the new
the beer garden.
The beer garden, yeah. I've walked by it, but on my way to go into the old brew house, because that's where we always do our events.
Yeah.
But every time I walk in there, it's like I know that I'm going to see, because of the reason I'm there, I'm going to see all my old friends, and we're all together, and we're all having fun. And
it's home.
It's home, yeah. It's really cool. If you've never been to St. Arnold's,
it's a cool place,
really cool place.
What's also interesting is, it's funny for me as someone, I still feel new to Houston, even though I've been here for 15 years now. Actually, longer, but about 15 years. And when I got here, and discovering that St. Arnold's was a craft beer industry for Houston, and I literally never heard of it before I got here. I got so excited to oh wow, they have a big craft brewery name here. And then I realized it's kind of like, I guess, what Starbucks would be in Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, we were talking about scale.
Yeah.
And how do you grow a mom and pop place? Well, St. Arnold's is a perfect example.
Absolutely.
Born and bred here, but grew to where it is now. And I know Brock and the team there have just been, this place is just going gangbusters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other parallel to Starbucks is, for those who despise Starbucks for being a corporate coffee shop now, because it's the scale, they are single-handedly responsible for the growth of the mom and pop coffee shops.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
We had this conversation when I worked at Starbucks. There are far more mom and pop coffee shops in America now since the growth of Starbucks than there was before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the parallel I would say with St. Arnold's to Thistle Draft Shop.
I will also say the quality things. So we're talking about scale and quality as you get bigger. Starbucks, the Starbucks in Seattle, like if you go to the original one, the taste is a lot different than if you go to the one here in Panther Creek. And
of course,
frankly, they always burn my coffee. But, St. Arnold's, it's good quality. I mean, beer is good because it's canned and stuff. It's got very consistent. But the taste of St. Arnold's beer, particularly their root beer, by the way, out of the taps, at the brew house tastes completely different than it does coming out of a can.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
And
just
that's
one
pretty
those
true
things.
of most draft beers.
Yeah.
Just you get less opportunity for oxygen.
Yeah.
And it's just a great delivery service.
Even Coors.
Yeah.
So the Coors Brewery, if you go to Golden, Colorado, or the
Yeah.
Coors Brewery and you take the tour, halfway through the tour, they let you drink out of a
fermenters.
tap that comes from,
fermenters.
and
Straight out.
it's like straight
as
out.
fresh as beer can
As
possibly
fresh
get.
as you can possibly get. And it tastes completely different, whether you're a Coors fan or not. I mean, it
It's a
tastes
different
so
beer.
much better there than it does. And it's funny because right outside the Coors Brewery, there's a bar right across the street. And they have on their sign, it says the freshest Coors beer anywhere. But in reality, it comes out of that tap in the tour.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
Homer Simpson with your mouth attached.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's really cool. So one other question, because I think foodies have this a lot. It is this concept of what ingredient right now is the thing that you're looking for. And I know that's a weird question, right? But ingredient can be a food, a seasoning, a taste, a flavor that your mind is on right now.
Oh, my goodness. You're talking personally, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Savory.
So you're savory more than sweet.
I am very savory
Yeah.
more than sweet. Yeah. Well, just in taste, not.
Yeah. Personality wise, you're opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more of a savory person.
Yeah.
Absolutely, hands down. We stopped in Austin on the way home last night. I stopped at a place called Sugar Pine, and gorgeous Asian food, kind of fast food, Asian food. So yes, savory
I'm
flavors.
going to Austin on Monday. Where is it?
It is. I'll send it to you. It's on our way back to. It's either on 183 or 290, but I think it's on 183.
Oh, okay.
Right off the freeway.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
I love it.
I have a question. So, given your taste,
Mm-hmm.
when you decided to put together a menu for the drive shop, how did that process go?
Oh, that was such a long process. At the end of the day, I spent the whole summer when we were creating the business just trying to go through what I thought would be a right menu choice. My plan was small plates, burgers, not too big. I ended up in a situation where I didn't have a chef just through this transition and ended up hiring Ernesto. Ernesto was the one that came up with that menu.
He's fantastic.
He is a food artist.
Yeah, he really is.
And those are his creations, his fusion flavors, and they work. They have really set us up. He set us up for success.
The freaking Red Dragon fries.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're like, first of all, the fries are really good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're crispy and nice, and the pork belly and the spice. I was eating them the other day, and it was if you like spicy fries, spicy loaded fries with pork belly on them,
yeah.
it's gonna be the fries that you want. Yeah.
That's
But
my-
even the pork belly tacos,
Oh, my
because
gosh,
it's got
that's
the
my favorite.
citrus in it. I can't remember. Is it a mandarin or?
It's a combination. Some lemon, some lime, some grapefruit,
yeah.
some onion.
Grapefruit stuff.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable taste. Unbelievable
See,
taste.
and I'm sitting here in my head, I was already thinking, okay, I'm getting the wings, I'm getting the Brussels sprouts when I go there.
Pork belly tacos. Also, the fried oyster bao
Yeah.
are really good.
Bring some friends.
Bring some friends.
Be shareables.
It's the only friend I got. He used to go to another
That's
place,
true.
man.
It's not that I wouldn't go anyway.
Well, maybe it's Thistle today and Chila's. I don't know.
Yeah. There you go. There
You
you
two
go.
could meet up. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I'll sneak in.
Yeah. So, Mary, thank you for being here, first
Oh,
of all.
my gosh.
Really cool. But so we always kind of end with this questionnaire. And again, I'll date myself, telling where this came from inside the Actors Studio, from James Lipton, who started this. And I was telling you about it earlier.
Yeah.
I highly recommend anybody to go watch this, by the way. If you want to really learn about acting and you really want some insight into the people you think you know because you've seen them on TV, like Tom Hanks, who we're talking about, Gary Sinise, like all these people, just incredible. But he does this questionnaire after he does an interview with them, and so we've kind of edited that for us. So these are off the top of your head questions. First question: what is your favorite food?
Yeah, potatoes and poblanos.
Potatoes and bolanos. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
You had that right off the bat.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite food?
Squash.
Really?
Squash is way on
Is it a texture thing or is it a flavor thing?
I think it's a flavor thing. My mom used to make us eat it.
Is it acorn squash or is it?
Mostly all of it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of squash.
I'm not a fan of squash either, but I will eat butternut squash because to me I thought it was a sweet potato.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If you sweeten them up, they're always good. Yeah.
It's the only way I can pull it off because I'm like, oh, okay, sweet potatoes is great. Oh no, that was squash.
Yeah, I will say sometimes if it's cooked correctly, I can eat it, but most of the time I'm not asking for it.
Does that include zucchini?
It depends on how it's cooked.
I will say
As a seasoned fry.
I was at
crispy.
I was at Tris the other night for a friend's birthday, and the people who I were with were really big foodies, and Austin went above and beyond, but he brought us out a zucchini dish, a side dish that I had never had before. And I mean, we had prime rib, lobster pot pie, like all this stuff on the table, this huge table full of stuff, and everybody was going on and on about this freaking zucchini side dish that I think he just like threw together as an afterthought. But it was amazing. It was amazing. So it was funny because some people differentiate between squash and the zucchinis and those kinds of things.
Of course,
in the world. But it was.
They all have that base taste, so it's got to be cooked.
I see there's a look. This is not a good look. For squash.
No.
Squash is not your fan.
It does not get a red.
What chef inspires you most right now?
I watch a lot of TV shows. I say that when I have time, but I'm going to go back and say Ernesto. After watching what he can do, watching his creativity, he is truly a food artist.
Where is he now?
He is out at the Falls in Columbus, so he had an opportunity to set up that golf resort.
Wow.
Yeah, big job out there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He is very good, and he did a lot for that menu.
We really missed his beer dinners. We want to get back to doing that, but out of the 25 beer dinners we did, there was not a single dish was ever repeated.
Wow.
And it was a 5-course meal.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's impressive. Super talented.
Nice. What sound or noise do you love?
Do I love? The ocean.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Hawaiian Ocean.
Hawaiian
Or
Ocean.
not the Hawaiian Ocean, but that ocean
Yeah.
up there.
That's a good one.
It's very Pacific of you.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. Besides that joke, what sound or noise do you hate?
Whiny people. Whiny
people.
noises and whiny people.
I don't like that. What's your favorite curse word?
The obvious. The F.
It's your
Come on,
favorite.
you can say it.
When things aren't going quite right. Fuck.
It was funny. This question gets asked on Inside the Actor Studio, and these actors, you hear them because you see them in TV shows and they curse all the time. But Gary Sinise was the one who said it was not just that word, but it was all incarnations of it because it can be
yeah.
a verb, a noun,
all
an adjective.
parts
It
of
could be
speech.
any part of speech, and it works on all levels. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Art. I love being creative. I'd love to learn how to draw and paint. That's what I would like to do.
Interesting.
Yeah. Of course, it has to be a hobby. It doesn't pay so well. But
there's not many famous rich artists.
no.
Unless you can do an NFT nowadays.
Right. This GIF is mine.
Yeah.
$5,000.
That's cheap. That's cheap. You can resell it for $185,000.
There you go.
Right.
What would be in your last meal?
Oh, I thought about that, and I'd have to. What would that be? I wrote it down. I don't remember. Something savory. Something just warming and savory. It could be a soup. It could be a poblano potato soup or something like that.
We're gonna have to get Mary some poblanos and potatoes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's a repeating theme, I hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm slow to pick up on patterns and all, but I think I've gotten this one.
That
Let
one.
me ask you. Poblanos are so different than spicy peppers.
Yes.
Because they're generally not spicy. But it's that peppery taste. It's almost like a bell pepper, but bell peppers have got sweetness to them. But poblanos are right in between the sweetness of a bell pepper and the hotness, the more hot of like a jalapeno kind of thing. What is it about the poblano that you like so much?
Well, the green pepper has that greenness to it. It has a very distinct flavor, but the poblano pepper has got this thick meat. It just feels and tastes this richness, and it's not overpowering spicy. It's not green. It's just a very hearty, middle of the road pepper.
Would you
I'm
say
gonna
it
have to
was
go there.
savory?
Oh God.
If you make it savory,
Just saying.
So I highly recommend this because you're talking about poblanos and things like that. This dish called chili and nogada. It's a purely Mexican dish, but it's a Mexican Independence Day dish. So you only find it in August, September. That kind of time frame is when a lot of these restaurants, Uli's, Cafe de Fiore, I bet you Chila's would have
Probably,
it.
yeah.
It's a poblano stuffed with a kind of a beef and raisin kind of mixture. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, and it's stuffed into the pepper. And then you've got the pepper, and then it's covered in a walnut cream sauce.
Nice.
And then on top of that, so you imagine the big pepper stuff covered in walnut cream sauce, and on the left side it's got pomegranate seeds, and then and then it's empty, and then on the far right side it's got like cilantro or a green herb over that, so it looks like the Mexican flag, red, white, and green. Every time I see it, I order it because different chefs make it different ways. Like Uli's, his sauce is a little thicker. Cafe de Fiore, their sauce is a little thinner, and their beef tastes a little bit different. But fantastic. And if you're a poblano fan, it's got the poblano in it, and so it's got that flavor to it. But really, really good. Interestingly enough, the sauce is served cold or room temperature. So you've got kind of the hot meat inside and then the sauce is put over, but the sauce is not hot. Because frankly, I think you can break that sauce really easily if you get it too hot. But really, really good. Very interesting.
A sweet and savory blend.
It's sweet and savory and hot and cold all at the same time, which is really interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. So you're going to Thistle later. I'm going to Chila's. Yeah. And you're going to have a huge New Year's Eve party.
Yes.
That's awesome. Mary, I'm so glad you came in.
Thanks for inviting me.
I love talking to you, and I love your food, and I love your place.
Thank you.
Frank, I have no doubt will love
No,
it.
thank you. It's been wonderful.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. Everybody, we will see you next time on the Subtle Foodie Podcast. Frank, thanks again for being here.
My pleasure as always, Anthony. And of course, when you have a chance, go pick up some fajita Pete's on Gosling. And if you need high performance work done to your European sports car, please call us at Euro World Motorsports.
And he does work on Audis too.
Yes. We've been doing a lot of Audi work lately.
Well, it's because they need a lot of work.
Bless their heart.
Bless their heart. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.